Hello and welcome back to India Today Global. We're continuing with our coverage of the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh, the political chief of Hamas. Of course, this is a story that has dominated headlines in India, around the world. And joining us now is a prominent West Asia expert, Dr. Waeil Awwad, who is, of course, well known to Indians as well, given his stint covering West Asia and covering India. As a senior journalist. Dr. Awwad, thank you so much for joining us. Could you begin by laying out for us, as someone who comes from West Asia, comes to the region, how the news of Ismail Haniyeh's assassination is being greeted in West Asia, in the broader region?
Thank you very much for having me. In fact, if we look at the current chronology of the events in the Middle East, one will realize that ever since the establishment of Israel 74 years back, we have been facing this music of the killing of the Palestinians. And that's ever since 1987, the establishment of Hamas at the hand of the Israelis. We have seen a killing of the leader of Hamas, from Ahmad Yassin to Rantisi to Aroor to Shahade. All these people have been killed, and now latest one is Ismail Haniyeh. Ismail Haniyeh was a political figure. He was the only president of Palestine who have won election in 2006, and he was leading Hamas Moderate factions as a political leader. He was negotiating, the top negotiator for the release of the Israeli prisoners and halting of the war on Gaza. And now you're killing him, that will have created a mess and complicated the situation already at a boiling point at the Middle East, where maybe there will be a regional war, and that could lead to wider consequences and wider conflict, which will lead to dire consequences and will have a great impact not only regionally but on the global peace and security. Because you are asking Iran now, you are attacking inside Iran, killing a leader of a Palestinian, and Iran have already retaliated. You remember when they Israel attacked their consulate in Damascus, and they retaliated, and Israel retaliated as well. So now what did the Prime Minister of Israel did in this? He's trying to drag the United States into a war with Iran, because Americans are heading for election. And therefore, the reaction in the current situation is that most of the Arab countries, most of the Islamic world, and the rest of the world have condemned this kind of killing. And the Israelis now, they're denying their involvement because they got instruction from the Prime Minister's office not to comment on this attack. But that does not give them the clean chit, because such kind of a sophisticated operation carried out by a spy satellite, by killing from the sky, definitely could not done by Israel alone. There must be some Western capital also involved in this conspiracy of getting rid of Ismail Haniyeh.
Right. If I could ask you to comment on how various countries in West Asia more broadly have reacted to this. You had, of course, Lebanon, Turkey coming out criticizing the Israeli government. You also had China weigh in and criticize Israel. Can I see how, if I may ask more specifically, the Arab world has seen this assassination of Haniyeh?
You see, I mean, the conflict between Israel and the Arab world have been on. So the conflict between Israel and Palestinians, especially after the 7th of October, have aggravated the situation, especially with Israeli killing and injuring more than 100,000 Palestinians, mostly children and elderly women, and more than 10,000 are missing. So the Arab world have been calling, and United States, they're calling the rest of the world, not only the Arab world, as you noticed, are on the street and demanding a halt of this genocide and carnage against the Palestinians. And therefore, Israel is adamant, is refusing even to stop this kind of war on the Palestinians. And they want to, unless and until they reach their objective. And their objective is to expel the Palestinians from Gaza Strip, to end Hamas, and also to bring some moderate Palestinian into the negotiating table. What's happening inside Gaza Strip is not only in isolation, it's also in West Bank, in Jerusalem. We have more than 10,000 in West Bank has been detained, more than 350 has been killed. So daily killing of the Palestinian is a clear indication that Hamas is not the target, by the way. Hamas is a faction of the Palestinian resistance, came to existence only with the Israeli occupation. Having said that, I would say once the occupation ends, it will end. It will be just like any political party. So unless and until we end occupation, there is no end to this war. And the whole of the Arab world have already demanded long years back. Since 2000, they have come with the Arab summit in Beirut. They have submitted to the international community an Arab peace plan, land for peace, two-state solutions, coexisting side by side, Israelis at one side, Palestinian at one side, and then let us live in peace. But Israel rejected it from the day one. So if you are not even interested in giving the Palestinians their right of existence, and no Israeli leader till date recognized that the Palestinians are the homogeneous, are the aboriginal of this region, and you're saying that they are only for the Israelis, then I think we are heading for an extensional war. Either the Israelis in this region or the Arabs should be in this region. And I think there where the catastrophe lies, because this will continue provocation measure for perpetual war.
If I could ask you a little bit about this very question about Haniyeh's role in the peace negotiations, releasing the hostages and so on and so forth. Some experts have argued that, look, Hamas as a political organization will quickly replace Haniyeh and have a new political chief. Others, of course, saying that his particular reputation and his role in the organization as the international face will mean that his death will mean that the negotiations to free the hostages and to reach a ceasefire deal will be hit very badly. How do you see the impact of his death, his assassination, on the ceasefire talks as well as the talks to release hostages?
I don't think it has impact of bringing peace to the table. By the way, the Palestinians already announced that they are halting the talks with the Israelis because there is no point. Even the Qatari foreign minister said, I mean, how can you kill the person who is negotiating with you as a peace deal? So I don't see any reason for this, that this is going to an end. Absolutely not. Why I'm saying so? Because even Netanyahu himself said, I will not stop this war, I will continue. And he put impossible conditions to stop this war, by the way, where everybody said that it is he giving all these hard conditions that they are unable to release the Israeli hostage and halt this war. Therefore, there are demonstrations inside Israel, and they're demanding his resignation and putting pressure on his government, but he is still refusing to do so. So by prolonging the wars, that only can serve Netanyahu to stay longer in the office, because he shot at his own feet while he is doing this assassination. That does not solve the problem, by the way. I mean, unilateral, such kind of an assassination does not solve the problem of the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. These are leaders, they will be replaced by another leader. This is a political leader. Let us talk militarily. What did Israel really achieve inside Gaza Strip? Till date, we don't have a figure of any of the leaders, military leaders of Hamas, the wing, who are already being killed. They are still firing. They are still fighting back the Israelis' invasion, and the war is on. 297 days continuously unstopped bombardment, yet there is no military success. So if you wanted to evade a military success by killing a political figure, that's exactly what is your personal gain. Nothing to do with the war, nothing to do with the conflict between Israel and the Palestinians.
Right, sir. So you mentioned something very interesting, and I would like to ask you a little bit about this, because you referred to Mr. Haniyeh as someone who was a moderate, but of course, if you go on social media, there are lots of clips around, especially on Indian social media, playing these clips of Mr. Haniyeh, of course, reacting and celebrating the October 7th attacks on Israel. Lots of people are asking, look, can you really consider someone like this a moderate? Do you have a response to that and this particular characterization of Mr. Haniyeh, or do you disagree with this?
I see. I don't have any soft heart for such kind of behavior for anybody. Killing of any humans is a killing. That's a killing and should be condemnable. That's my take on this. But don't take Hamas fighting against Israel from the 7th of October. You don't know. We all know the atrocities have been subjugated to the Palestinians throughout the history. For the last 7 decades, they have been subjugated to all kinds of atrocities. Even today, when the Israelis soldiers have been invited by Israel that they have been raping Palestinian prisoners, we see right-wing, we see military people barging into the prison, releasing them. What kind of society is this we are witnessing? What kind of a right-wing extremists are running this government who are not even interested in peace and bringing back to the table? That's what I'm saying. So Haniyeh or no Haniyeh, it doesn't have much of a changes on the Palestinian people. That's why I keep repeating this. And Hamas is just a faction of the resistance against occupation. Once you end occupation, you will have a settlement in this part of the world. But as long as you do not recognize the other side and you deal with Palestine and the land without people, I am sure there is no end to this such kind of carnage.
Right. And if I can ask you just a follow-up question, you've already said this before, but if I could, for sake of clarity, ask you to repeat yourself. On this question of, of course, Mr. Haniyeh being the political face negotiating with Israel, do you think that his assassination then, as you were mentioning, is a symbol that Israel is not interested in any form of peace settlement on the conflict?
Absolutely, they don't want any peace agreement. If they wanted peace agreement, why you kill the peace negotiator? They are trying to put pressure on Hamas to accept, to come in terms with the Israeli terms, not to come on a discussion to cease fire and stop this war. That is why I'm saying there is no question that the Israeli government currently wanted to end this war without ending Hamas, without ending the Palestinian living in Gaza Strip. Therefore, ending of Hamas does not, this is ideology, it's not leadership. Ideology will not be able to you eliminate it. What you are going to do here is, as long as you exist as an Israel, Hamas will exist and a Palestinian will exist in this part of the world. So if Hamas goes, there will be another resistance forces because you are denying their right. So I don't see much of a change seriously in this particular issue, especially with the right-wing government in Israel, who are not even willing to come back to the negotiating table or negotiate with them. So killing of a moderate leader in a different territory of another country and repeating the same mistake you did in Damascus, it just does not give peace. This is an indication you want to provoke the other side, who already raised the red flag, who already go for retaliation, and I'm sure it will not go without a retaliation either from Iran or also from the Lebanese side. The resistance forces, Hezbollah, is also going to retaliate against the killing, if he is dead, their leader, whom we have been targeted by Israel 2 days ago, Fuad Shukr. So this is going to be more of a mess in the West Asia, and welcome to West Asia.
Right. And are you expecting then that there will be a wider escalation in the conflict with Lebanon, with Hezbollah, with Iran?
Well, see, this is what I said. The survival of Netanyahu in office is the prolongation of the war. And going into regional war, it indefinitely would serve his purpose. It's already a war or semi-war between Houthis in Yemen against the Israelis. And Hezbollah and also said that we will only stop the war if you stop the war on Gaza. Similarly, the Iraqis resistance forces are taking place. So you are targeting the arch of resistance which exists, or axis of resistance existed from Iran to Iraq, to Jordan, to Syria, to Lebanon, to Palestine, and to Yemen. So if you wanted to target and you want to implement your own agenda, then that's a different story. But if Netanyahu is gone to the Washington, D.C. and came with a plan to bring Mr. Trump back into the power with the Israeli lobby, then there is a sinister plot, actually, to continue this sabotage, to continue this carnage in the Middle East till the American election is over, till we see Trump back in power, until we can see that this part of the world will be unstable for years to come. Because that is the objective, to remain Israel as the hegemony in this part of the world, politically, militarily, and I think that will be a huge impact on the future of stability in the Middle East or West Asia.
Right. So if I may ask you one final question, and this is about the broader geopolitics. We've seen, of course, countries like China have lined up very solidly to criticize Israel and to line up behind the Arab world. America has, on the other hand, the other major global superpower has backed Israel very strongly. How do you think this will impact the perception of America and the perception of China? Will it mean that China's favorability in the Arab world will increase very sharply, while America's strategic position and the respect that it enjoys, do you think that that will evaporate and China will benefit largely? If I may ask you your view on this as well.
I think you are asking very important questions, and I think the lesson we learned from Gaza war by Israel is that the hypocrisy of the West and their upholding of values of democracy, freedom of speech, and everything they have been talking and teaching and breaching all the rest of the world about it. When it comes to Israel, Israel is the exceptional country, and it's the unilateral country that can do whatever they want, because this is the outlawed son of the United States. So you cannot continue with this policy in the region. And I'm sure this is have a great impact on us all, because once you realizing that this international community, people are in the street wanting this war to end and putting pressure on their government, it's a clear indication that we need to put an end to it. And therefore China stepping in, it's already had a meeting between the faction of Palestine last week, and they have already reached an agreement for a sort of a settlement and a national government maybe a little while in the future, because China wanted to bring the Silk Road, which is passing through that region, and it is also part of the economic growth and prosperity where investment has been taking place. Similarly, even the Russian has been speaking vocally about stability in the Middle East. And don't forget that the Russian having a military base and military defense pact with Syria for more than 50 years. So therefore, they are worried about their own interest in this part of the world. And China is worried as much as India and the rest of the world are worried. We are all human. We do not want to see killing of any kind of killing. You put an end to the war, put an end to occupation, put an end to annexation. Let us have peace. If you take peace as a strategic option, I think the whole of the world will come together at the negotiating table.
Understood, sir. Thank you so much, Dr. Awwad. We also have a clip for our viewers on Israel today. The Prime Minister's office refusing to comment on the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh. We've just got that clip for you right now.
What is the Israel's Prime Minister office response to these statements? Thank you for that question, Fred. So we're not commenting on that incident. So I've spoken about Hamas quite clearly as well in this briefing and our attitude towards Hamas. I've also spoken about Iran. Hamas are a proxy of Iran, as are Hezbollah, as are the Houthis, as are the Shia militias in Iraq, as are the attacks we've had from the Red Sea, as are any other of the 7 fronts. They're an Iranian proxy, 7 fronts we're fighting this war, and I've made comments about all of those fronts. Next question from Fred Ager is Hostage Families Forum issued a statement lauding the military accomplishments of the IDF in the killing of the top Hezbollah leaders in Beirut and after other activities over the last 2 nights, but says any true achievement can only be realized with the release of all 115 hostages in captivity. What's the Prime Minister's response to the Hostage Families Forum statement? Thank you for that question, Fred. Look, we've made our war aims completely clear. They are, of course, to get our 115 hostages back. It's obscene. It's crime against humanity every single moment. For almost tomorrow, it'll be 300 days. It's unimaginable, the torture of these poor people. Our war aims are to bring them back, to destroy Hamas military and its governing capabilities, and of course to make sure that Gaza can never pose a threat to this country ever again. Next question from David Clement. Can you comment on the importance of the death of Ismail Haniyeh? Thank you for that question, David. We're not commenting on that incident.
So there we have the Israeli Prime Minister's office, of course, not commenting on the Haniyeh assassination. But Dr. Awwad, I'm obliged to you for your time. Thank you so much for sharing your perspective. You've, of course, been someone who, at least the journalistic community in India, knows extremely well. You've been sharing your perspectives on West Asia to an Indian audience. Thank you so much for giving us your insights on this latest story, for joining us today. And thank you also to the viewers for staying with the story on the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh. Thank you so much for watching India Today Global. We'll keep bringing you more news. And of course, we have another interview lined up at 8 for you, which we will bring for the latest on this story. Thank you so much.